My name is Jo, and I'm the studio glaze technician for Newmaker, and I'm going to show you how you can save money, in some cases 50%, maybe even more, on mixing your own dry mix from Tucker's or any other pottery supply house that carries dry glazes. First, we need to talk about safety. So I'm going to show you the PPE you're going to require. You are going to need goggles that are very inexpensive, that they will protect around your face, your eyes, so that no dust particles get in. We don't want that silica in our lungs or in our eyes. There are various types of face masks, respirators. You can buy them online, not terribly expensive either. This is my latest. I think it cost me less than $30. Always wear all of your PPE while you are mixing and keep them back, put them back in their bags. If you don't have a respirator, you can use an N95 mask, one-time use only. Please dispose of it afterwards. Don't forget your gloves. Some of the minerals, the particles, are soluble and you don't want them to get into your system through your skin. Please wear gloves. This box is 1 kilo of dry mix powder that I'm going to mix up for you. It will equate to roughly just under 1 liter of liquid glaze. We can mix it in a bucket. My favorite is in a protein shake container. This is a glaze that I made some time back. It's actually Tucker's Cone 6 Floating Blue. 1 liter filled up this much space, but if you wanted to do 2 liters, I think this would probably be even able to handle 3 liters of dry mix if you wanted to make bulk. Much easier than a huge bucket, because because of the circumference, you wouldn't have much glaze on the bottom. You will need a measuring jug. Grab one from a dollar store. Don't cross over from your kitchen to your glaze mixing pantry. Some of the boxes actually have instructions on them. Good instructions. Others are a little bit vague. This one I'm mixing up right now is a little vague. It says to go to a creamy consistency. However, I'm going to show you a way that you can always have a consistency with your glaze. And we're going to map it back to that every time you go to mix. And anytime you go to use it, if you want to, you can check it. You probably won't need to check it every time at all. So being a kilo, typically on average, the advice would be to add 880 mils of water. However, it's much easier to make a glaze thinner by a controlled method than take the water out. So it's always best practice to go 80% of what's recommended. So we're actually going to add 700 mils of water to this 1 kilo batch of dry mix. Before we start mixing, I'm just going to cover off a few of the important pieces of equipment that will just help you through the process. If you're mixing a large amount, you really want one of these drill bits. They're relatively inexpensive from any hardware store for your drill. In this case, we're just doing a small amount. We're only mixing 1 kilo. So I will be using this submergible blender that I picked up from Value Village. And I think it was about $10 or $15. What's going to come in handy is perhaps a slotted spoon for stirring, or you could use a whisk. Once again, these glaze tools for your glaze kitchen are completely separate to your kitchen in the house where you cook. A sieve. This is an 80 mesh sieve, and that's to make sure that all the particles have broken up. Clay has a way of wanting to play pile on. and get clumpy, we need to break up that glaze even if we've mixed it. Open this box. Inside this box is a plastic bag that is securely tied off. Only open the box inside. Let's see if I can get this done. You can see the plastic bag in here. I will be taking this outside, but I just get it cut organized before I get all my PPE on. Hi, I've got my PPE on. I'm about to take you outside in the fresh air, so we have ventilation, and I am going to do the dangerous part of this mixing, at which point I can then take off my mask once this dry powder has been absorbed into the water. So I pour the water into the bucket first. See you out there. Whoa. Okay. We have successfully hand mixed the dry mix into water. I'm now going to take off my PPE to keep my gloves on. Your PPE needs to be put away safely. My mask goes back into the Ziploc bag I have, and I seal it because we don't want any more dust particles from wherever we are getting in that mask. I put my face masks, sorry, my goggles, I should say, my goggles away. Okay, I just want to show you how, yes, I've mixed it. Can you see in there? It's been mixed. So as long as that dry mix is submerged in water, we're good. It's safe. But you can see the clumps, and that's the clay piling on top. We have to break that down, and we will be blending it and then sieving it. It's a small amount, around 1 liter of liquid glaze we've made now. I'm just going to use this hand blender so you can come in and see me mix. That's going to get rid of most of those lumps. I'm going to sieve now, and I'm going to sieve into this. So come over. This is an 80 mesh sieve. I don't know if you can see in the sink there. I'm actually going to pour the mix into the sieve that is sitting over the bowl. Scrape any excess in. It's important to get every bit, just like you would in baking. You need to get all of that goodness into the sieve. I'm now going to, I could either do it with this spatula, just move it around on the top of the sieve as it breaks, the glaze particles break down and pass through the sieve. Another method is you could use like a dish scrubbing brush. It works as well. It's your preference. I'm going to make sure the bucket that it came out of is clean. Now what you need to know is that there is clay in every glaze. Clean out your bucket, but make sure you have a clay trap at your sink, or do not put it down your normal plumbing at home because you will end up calling the plumbers. It will clog, it will accumulate. I'm now going to do a second sieve. Now that you've sieved twice, you can sieve more if you like. I only ever sieve twice and I find it works just fine. you now have a perfectly blended glaze. What we're going to do now is we're going to put the lid on it and leave it overnight, and it's going to slake. So what's going to happen is those small particles, including the glaze, are going to swell, and it's going to be homogenized. It'll be in a better state for you to glaze. So I'll see you tomorrow. Welcome back, it's the following day, and I'm going to show you how I map to the correct viscosity of the glaze so that it can be consistent for me and reliable. First, I'm going to show you different tools that will help you in this process. This is called a graduated cylinder. You can pick one up from Amazon for less than $20. This is a special scale that you can pick up from Amazon. I think I paid about $40 for this scale. However, after saying that, you can also use your kitchen scale and use any jug. You could get it from the dollar store as long as you can see the increments up the side. I'm going to show you with these simple tools how you can achieve specific gravity for your glaze. And you can map to it consistently, and you can record it and know that for that glaze, it's going to always work for you or anyone else. I am going to fill this to 100 mils. So I think 100 mils is down here. It's quite a large jug. I'm going to start my scale. Before I put the liquid in there, I'm going to pop the jug on the scale. I'm going to make sure the mode actually is in grams, and then I'm going to hit the tar button, and that's going to zero it out. It's really no different to baking. The process is that when I put 100 mils of glaze in this container that I've tarred out, the scale is going to weigh it for me. I'm going to take the weight and then divide it by that 100 mils. Sure, I could put any amount of liquid in there and divide it by the volume. However, I like to work with 100 mils. And the reason for that is, any of you that love math, all I have to do is move my decimal place to 2 spots. And that will give me my specific gravity. It's that simple. I'll see you back in a few minutes and we'll actually do it together. Here we are, we're back with the slate glaze. I'm going to take the lid off and show you. Okay, you can see a little bit of water on the top, but you can see how gelatinous. I'm just going to grab a slotted spoon here. That it's become almost gelatinous. I'm going to mix that. And it's a beautiful consistency now. And it's all homogeneous. I've set up the graduated cylinder in this instance. However, you could have used your jug as I showed you previously. Here I have the scale set to grams, and I've placed my cylinder on, and then I'm going to tar it, so it's 0. I'm then going to take some of this glaze and I'm going to pour it in till it gets to 100 mil. I'm just filling that up to 100 mil. Of course, I'm sure you all know, you should be at eye level to get it exact. By the way, I'm expecting it to need water and to be too heavy. It's coming out at, okay, so 152, I move the decimal place 2 spots, so it's 1.52 specific gravity. We're mixing porcelain clear, and the specific gravity that we have worked out at the studio that works best within our situation and firing is 1.36 specific gravity. So we need to be lower than what it's actually weighing. And of course, specific gravity is simply the ratio of water to solids. Okay? So we need to take this down to 1.36, And the way to do that is to add water. So I'm going to put this back in the bucket. I'm going to rinse this out, add a bit of water, stir it for another couple of minutes, and remeasure. I have washed my utensils. I've got a scoop here that I pick up the glaze and put in the jug. You can do it however you find it works. Okay, so you can see here, the graduated cylinder, when placed on the scale, is tied to 0. Okay, I'm going to pour again. Now that I've added some water, there's no precise measurement of water, we have to just wing it. So you add a little bit of water at a time, because you don't want to go too much. If you go too much, you're going to have to let it sit maybe a day and then take that water off the top, and it's more difficult that way. So we slowly add. You can see it's 1.42. It has come down, but it hasn't come down to 1.36 yet. So we're going to do this again. Here we are. We made it to 1.36. Congratulations. Your glaze is done. Good job, everyone. So we've mixed a glaze together. And you're probably asking, well, hang on, where do I get the specific gravity number, Jo, that I'm supposed to map it to? Some dry mix glazes have it indicated on the box, what the recommended SG is. You can go to that. However, I highly recommend you also run your own test tiles. And if it doesn't have a specific gravity to map to, or as a target on your box, you're going to have to do test tiles anyhow. So make yourself some test tiles. So this was just a slab out of clay. I put some texture on it. You can see how I just squished it and stood it up so it could stand up. And so the glaze can run down as if it's coming down a mug or a pot. They're fantastic. Get yourself an underglaze pencil. So on the bottom, you can actually write the specific gravity you're testing. And then you do your dip. And I think you all know how to dip glazes by now. Okay, so here's before and here is after. So you can see how a test tile is just so important to see how your glaze breaks, see how it is if it doesn't have any texture, and you can see on the bottom I've written the name of the glaze and the specific gravity of that test tile. It's a wrap, everybody, we're done. So be sure to check below in the captions for tricks and tips, and in the comments sections to put any questions, okay?